Hey there, it's Bijal, and welcome to today's show on Be Epic. Today, we are going to have a blast. We have an infectious laughter to share with you. There we go. We haven't even started yet, and she's already on her way. So, for those of you who are watching, welcome. It's Friday afternoon, the day before we all reclaim our independence. Independence from what? Well, we'll have to just go and see. But today, talking to Ginger Johnson, the author of this phenomenal book, and I'm hoping that by the end of this we'll have got through almost every single page on this, because I almost like marked down every single page. But we will dive into this book in just a second. But we like to start off the show with what we call what's buzzing, what's new. So Ginger, what's happening in your world that you want to let people know about?
Wow. Well, a little bit of everything, whole lot of nothing. What's buzzing in my world? Well, I'm finding that a lot of people are in a stage of feeling that's been unlike so far. You know, it's changed. The world is changing day by day. I'm sure you feel it too, Bijal. I'm sure that whoever's listening feels it. At first, it was like, oh, this week feels a little bit different than last week, then a little bit different than the week before, and now like, can somebody take me out of this roller coaster? Because this is I'm getting nauseous, and I don't know. There's nobody else on the coaster with me, so it's the recentering every day, I think, of what you're doing, why you're doing it. Why is a big part of connection, of course, and keeping the faith, keeping going forward, saying, okay, there is something I can do every day, and so I start with that with myself. Definitely. Like, there's a lot of reasons. Woo, bring it on back to the hive. All right, hang on. Whoop, we're going too far afield. Nope, stay over here. And that will help keep you grounded and keep you connected and keep you sane and safe.
Well, awesome. So talking about hives, let's talk about the hive. Let's talk about what it is you actually do for people. What's your business? What's the way you strive to thrive in this world today? Let's talk about this puppy here, this book. And first of all, I've got to acknowledge you for this book. It's beautiful. I mean, the pages, the feel of the book. So
it's your color, isn't
it? So let's talk about connectivity.
Okay.
What is it you do in terms of connectivity for your clients?
Bijal, you know what it's like to walk into a room and feel confident that you can talk with anybody. That's what human connection. It's the feeling of knowing that there is always more common ground. That's a big lesson I want to drop today. There's always more common ground. So as we bicker, as we argue, as we disagree without listening, we can center back to that. Look, hey, Bijal, do you have teeth?
Yeah.
So do I. Let's start there, right? We always have more common ground. So connection starts with our own internal grounding, our own common ground of what makes us united. It's really, really critical that we keep that front of mind today. We are all so much more similar than dissimilar. There's always something we can share, talk about, learn, grow from. And that's really where it starts.
So I'll ask you, so, you know, in one of your pages here, it says connectivity is not, and then you list of a bunch of stuff that it's not, and one of them is networking. So can you explain what you mean by that? Because I think it's a very important distinction.
Yes. In my work as a speaker, trainer, and coach, to finish that answer for you from the previous question, there's an N word and there's a C word. So I'm going to be a little glib. The N word is networking and the C word is connecting. And when I think about connecting visually, Bijal, and I know you're good with visualization too, is everybody listening, think of an iceberg. How much of that berg is under the ice, Bijal?
It's about 80-90%, right?
Yeah, far and away most of it, right? That's what connecting is. It's the depth, it's the breadth, it's the oh my gosh possibilities that lurks underneath what can be superficially the networking. Now, to be fair, networking became in vogue in the early 1900s. It was a term that was coined to indicate exercising and leveraging your social capital. So I think it's a great word. we have pretty much convoluted it to mean bad cocktails, really crappy aftershave, and having the shoulds. Oh, I should go there. Oh, I should meet that. Oh, I have to go. Blah, 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 blah. You know, we start waving those wet noodles at ourselves, and pretty soon there's no fun to it. There's no joy to it. It's not productive like it can be. It's busy work. It's usually shallow. And like I ask whole rooms when I'm speaking, like, who loves to go to networking events? Very few hands go up. Now, the people who do have their hands up are thinking of something different, which I have found and asked very intentionally. Well, what do you like about it? Like, I get to go and connect with people. Oh, okay. So that there's a difference between what conventional networking has become and what connecting can be is. And I think of the difference of the two words very simplistically, Bichelle. Network is a noun. It's a thing. So there's your network. Connecting. Ooh. That's the action. That's the activity of the hive of your life that you can make happen. That's where the honey is made, my friend.
I love that. You know, I remember at the time when I was, this is going back many years, probably even before I left for my 5-year travels to India and the world, but I was going to networking events and there's an agenda behind the networking. And it wasn't fun. If you didn't get a good connection, you kind of left despondent. So how do you shift that mindset? If you had to give a tip here of shifting the mindset from agenda-based networking to connection-based networking.
Oh, yes. So great. Here's the tactic I'll give you. And there's more in the book, as you know. In the book, I talk about change the have-tos and the shoulds to the want-tos and get-tos. Here's a perfect example. So my friend and one of my chiropractors, her name is Casey. She's fantastic. And she was telling me a story that one morning she was getting ready for work. She has her own practice and she has 2 small children, and she was getting ready for work. And she found herself starting to say, Mommy has to go to work. But she stopped herself because she realized, A, she does love her work. She's very connected to it. She knows it matters. She loves doing it. It has a bigger meaning to her, which is part of your why. And she knew that the impact of her words on her kids would be lasting, meaningful, profound. So she said she stopped herself mid-word and said, Mommy gets to go to work. That's what connecting can be, because we're really tapped into the energy of connection and thinking, oh, wow, I get to instead of I have to. These are all choices, Miguel. We are in command of what we choose to do with our precious time. And when you connect, it's way more choice mindset focused, the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset of I have to, my boss sent me here, I'm supposed to, all those things we wave at ourselves.
All right. So now when I started going through your book, I came across page, I'm going to have to show my age right now. I think it's page 47 here. Yeah. What has why and mindset got to do with this? Like when I read this, I was like, I've never seen that before. I've never seen the word my why to do anything with networking. Usually it's about what do I do? How do I open a question? How do I open up a conversation? But never why. So and the next part of this, and we'll get to this next part after we learn more about your story, which is FU. So we'll come back to FU. I just think it's inappropriate to leave it as FU, and there's FUFT.
You had fun prepping for this show.
I did have fun prepping for this. I worked so hard on that one. How do I not bring that into the conversation? We'll come back to that. If you want to find out what is FU and FT.
I beg your pardon, Michelle. I like this show. Did I do something?
They're going to say, but let's start off. Let's find out why, and then more about how you ended up being the legend in the connectivity space, and then we'll talk about FU and FT. So why important?
Why? So good. This show is only 5 hours long, right? We have a lot.
That's right. It's a short one.
Okay. So get comfortable, everybody. Get yourself a refreshment. So why? When about 3 years ago, I found myself wondering what I was doing with my life. And it wasn't a big existential crisis. I've shifted and changed a number of times. And I have very much an entrepreneurial mindset. I call myself a serial business owner, serial entrepreneur. And I love it. And I know how much energy is involved. You know what I'm talking about, Michelle, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners do too. It takes a lot of energy and effort. So I was shifting from something that I was no longer going to pursue. It was a different business I had started from scratch and built and so forth. And it didn't make me hum anymore. There was no buzz to it. And I needed, first of all, to figure out why that was. Because your why is your purpose, your vision. If you wake up every day, my friends, and think, ugh, this is a grind, or I don't want to, or I feel like I have to, or I should, it's time to re-examine. It's really time to get smart and clear about where you're putting your precious life. So I was waking up and I was feeling that way. I was feeling like, I'm feeling frustrated and I'm not making the progress I want to make. And why is this? Well, I was no longer connected to that work. And my work is my life and I love it. And I want it to be that way. I want it to be positive. So when we get to the FUFT, like I want to be motivated because that also takes energy and effort. I'm going to do big T's for everybody. So I knew I needed to shift. So I started turning my super tanker. And anybody in here who has changed from one business to another knows that a super tanker does not have a tight wheelbase. Like it is not like my Wrangler. I can't just turn around in a single lane street. I need miles. And that why are those miles you give yourself to figure out, oh, where are we going to restart this course? And so once you discover your why, once you give yourself the grace and the time and get some help figuring out. I remember I called friends over, people from very different walks of life, makes, models, colors, ages. It was great. It's like, as a connector, it was a total selfish exercise. And these people were really generous. Like, yeah, Ginger, we'll try to help you figure this out. And so I would run an idea up the flagpole. Like, well, this is what I'm thinking of doing. And let me share these things now. What are you hearing? What do you got? I did that a few times. And I finally one day landed on connectivity. I'm like, oh, that's what it is. I was like a prairie dog popping up. Oh, I think it's going to be this. Oh, I think it's going to be that. And then I'd go back down. And then the day I popped up, Bijal, on connection, human connection, connectivity, it absolutely clicked. It clicked. I remember the day. I can't tell you the date, but I remember the feeling because I had been looking for it for about a year and a half. I've been putting effort and energy into that for a year and a half, feeling very unsettled of, I don't know what this thing is going to be, but knowing that I would figure it out. So there's some juice for the listenership. Give yourself the grace, the time. The process takes a while for most people. And whatever a while is for you, be okay with that. And then keep going. So my why is human connection. It's creating and developing relationships of meaning, of worth, of longevity. My personal vision, Bijal, that I don't actually publish in anything, I want to connect the world. Like my friend and another coach, Ann Zaprazi, says, Ginger, are you trying to save the world one connection at a time? I'm like, well, yeah, since you put it that way, that sounds great.
You know, we live in a really interesting time where we have a lot of connections, but very shallow connectivity, or, you know, the way I would say it is connection, right? And there's a distinction between just having numbers and having depth.
Oh.
And maybe you're going to just kind of talk more about the depth of connection versus the number of connections.
Yes. I'm so glad. Thank you for opening that door. So there's a massive difference. Vanity metrics do not the world make better. It's terrible grammar, but that's what I'm going to say.
That's almost Yoda-ish. That's almost like Yoda speak.
Right. Vanity metrics, no bad. It's all about the authenticity. So that word is just about beat into the ground, but we're going to resurrect it because it is still a very powerful and meaningful word when you use it correctly. And so connections are, to go back to the connection is not, connection is, the do's and don'ts, which I outline in the book. Connection has got to be real. It's got, and what does real mean? Real means that there's some real worth, there's some real meaning. Think about it this way. How many Zoom calls have you been on in the last 5 months? Last 2 months? Right? Like some people are like, I don't want to think about that. So when you're thinking about where you're putting your precious time, are these connections meaningful? Are they worthwhile? If they are not, get them off your calendar. Like erase them. Get rid of them, because it's not a judgment, Bijal. It's a realization that this is your life. Who do you want to be connected with? Who makes you a better person? Who can you grow with? Who can you serve? Who can you help? Who will help you grow? Get really clear on who those people are. I do an exercise in rooms when I speak and give workshops. I call it the 3 ripples. And the three ripples essentially are, there's the center. Those are your 3 a.m.ers, Bijel. Who would you pick up at 3 a.m. at the airport? And who would pick you up? Like, that's a pretty good acid test. I bet you, dimes to donuts, my friend, that very, very few of your followers, the people who like, clap, heart, would do that. So don't get caught in the smoke and mirrors thinking that numbers are the answer. Connection is real. It's one at a time. Quantity will come with quality. That's the focus.
Yeah, I remember when we left, the day we left India in 2015, I think it was July, like several of our friends, and our flight was like 3 a.m. in the morning. And we had 3-4 groups of friends, drive us, even though there's just 5 of us, we had more than enough space, but they all just came to the airport with us in Bangalore, India. We made an evening of it, or early morning of it. and those friends are like so precious. Like even to this day, that our close and dearest friends are literally, they're in that car dropping us to the airport. So I totally understand what you mean. Which brings me to this. I don't know if you can see that. The
permission slip.
Yeah. So tell me, what is that?
Oh my gosh, that was a bit of a whim. So remember, Bijel, when we were in school, and once in a while you'd get a permission slip. You can go to the office, you can go to the library, you get out of gym, whatever they were, and they were pink. So there was a color connotation, which personally makes me crazy. That's from another lifetime, from another business. That color has to do with a certain function or gender or something like that. And I just tongue in cheek put those together because, as you know, in your book, I'm going to grab mine right here. As you know, we don't give ourselves permission very often. And what does that mean? Well, as I was writing the canon, I realized that, I haven't read very much about people saying, let go, detach, clean house. Marie Kondo's got a corner on some of that, but that's a different thing than we're talking about. I'm talking about relationships. I'm talking about human to human. I'm talking about people, community, and planet. I mostly focus on people in here. And I just thought, it would be kind of fun to give people permission slips because people aren't giving themselves permission slip. Perfect case in point. There's a woman I know. She's a good woman. A good woman. It could be a man. You don't know if I'm really talking about a woman or a man. Doesn't matter. There's this friend I have. And it's truly a friend. It's not me. And she lives proximately close to me also, incidentally. Well, I had heard about her. The work she had done fascinated me. I wanted to meet her. I wanted to connect with her. She was open, even though she's like, I don't know who you are, but okay, I'll have coffee with you. And so we got together and we kicked off a relationship. And at first it was great, Bijel, because I thought, I feel really honored that she's willing to take this leap of faith. And then she was engaged too. And we had great conversations. Well, fast forward about 2 years in that relationship, Bijel, and I realized, I came home from seeing her one time and I thought, why does my energy level, why does this feel different to me? And I realized, gosh, every time I'm with this person, they are complaining. They are not being proactive about their future from what they tell me. It's like, well, this isn't going to work because of that. And I have to wait on that. That's a total energy suck, my friend. And I will not be around that. It's my choice. I will not, because I know it brings me down. Good person. I needed to let that person go. So I decided to give myself a permission slip to say, you know what, this person is a good person. It's just not my person. And I want to support this person. But until this person is ready, I'm not going to put any energy there because it's just going to go down a black hole. And people like you and me, we got to put our energy to a positive use. Not only does the world need it now more than ever, as everybody's saying, but we always need that. It's always so much more important to be positive and then be negative, and connectors have a positive energy to them. So the permission slips are to say, you know what, over and out, that's not my thing anymore. That's not my person anymore. I'm going to go towards the people who are doing productive work, who are positive, who I can help, who help me. And that's what that's about.
I love it. I love that concept. And yeah, my wife, she's also a home decluttering expert, but so many times she's getting into this element of decluttering as well. Because we have so much stuff, so many connections, so much stuff in the home, so many toys and stuff. And I think more is not more anymore. I think less is more in this day and age, so we can have more meaningful relationships, more meaningful, even connection with our belongings as well. Which is really, I think we even take belongings for granted because we have so much of it. But yet, when I remember my travels through India and Asia, the relationship with things is far more precious because of the work involving getting it and obtaining it.
And I already can't wait to meet your wife, because what an interesting word we use for the things we own: belongings. Right? Like we want to belong, so we buy them. We want them to belong to us. Like if that's, you just wrote, I got an article coming out about that now.
Well, what she says to people is that we want to turn stuff into belongings, because when we and I can see the same thing with relationships too, right? We have a lot of connections, but now we want to simplify down to having some deeper connection with people. So let's go into FUFT. So I know exactly what it means, but why don't you? Because this is as a very key part of turning the connection into something very meaningful at the back end, especially if you're in business and stuff. So let's talk about, because this is my favorite subject. And again, it wasn't until I started reading your book I recognized this deeper connection between us. Around the fact that we're involved almost in a similar space, but from a different perspective. But what is FU and FT?
Follow up, follow through. We won't keep people waiting any longer. And I love that. I did go through your site after we met a while back, and somebody else speaks the language. Another kid in my sandbox. This is great. So the follow up and follow through are the 6th and 7th of the framework. And I actually, you see the framework in your book. You don't have to get your glasses on, but it's that table that you can scan through and see. And the framework, the elements of connection, came about when I wrote the book. When I turned my super tanker to go into human connection, Bijal, which then I'm like, okay, I've always been in it in different forms. Now I'm really focused on this. One of the comments I would get from people is, Ginger, you're so good at this. And this meaning, you know a lot of people. How do you know this many people? You're comfortable walking up to anybody. How do you stay in touch with people? All these things. That actually was very inspirational, because I paused, and like you, I want to do work that matters to other people, that really turns me on as well. And so I thought, I need to deconstruct that so I can help people, so I can teach people, so people hire me to help them learn why and how to connect on purpose with value in mind. And so this framework came about, and the FUFT are the 6th and 7th step in how to connect. The first two are why and mindset, which we touched on earlier. You've got to have the why, and then you got to set your attitude, which is AKA your mindset. And then there's a whole series. Well, the first move, the why in the road, the pursue your path, and then we get to the follow up and follow through. So I love these so much, Bijal, because they are both the opportunity for magic as well as dropping the ball, so to speak. It is probably the most vulnerable as well as the most opportune section of human connection. Because when you and I met, a couple months ago now, I think. The newer, I can't wait to keep getting to know you. It feels real. You're curious, you're fun, you show up, and that's a true connection to me, regardless of the tenure of the connection. And so the follow-up from you has been strong. Follow-up from me, hopefully, has been strong in return. And the follow-up is the immediate action after you initiate. So if you and I, we met on a webinar, as case may be, since we're filming this during COVID of 2020, we met on a webinar, and we were in a break.
Let's just deconstruct that, because this is a result of no agenda, right?
Correct.
We were in a someone else's training. Yep. We happened to be put together in a breakout room.
Serendipity.
I believe you shared what you did. I may have shared what I did, and I said, hey, I'd love to follow up or connect. Mm-hmm. And again, at that point in time, we didn't really know anything about each other at that time. We just felt some spark of connection.
Yes.
And then this is, I believe, our second call. Mm-hmm. But it feels like we've known each other for ages.
I know, it's so fun.
Is that a component of when you've connected with somebody, does that feeling of I feel like I've known this person for a lifetime, a meter, not meters, meters not probably the right word, but like a signal almost, like Like, there's something here.
Mm. Good. That's a great question, Bijal. I believe.
Oh, I stumped you.
No, I just want to think about the right way to how I would respond. So, in all interactions, there's something there for some reason. And the ones which I believe develop into meaningful connections, i.e., you and I, we're just at the very beginning of it. There is a mutual, as you would call it, spark. And I think that's a great way to think about it, because when we strike the match, when we hit the flint, we're all of a sudden, now what happens, we go from you and me to you and me. And that magic that happens for two bees or a whole hive, like we exponentially up the ante. The karmic level goes through the roof because we think, oh my gosh, this is so great. Think of where this could go. Think of the meaning, the impact, the essentially the power, the energy of connection, as I call it. You put two forces together and you have a much greater, stronger force immediately. And yeah, you can feel it right away sometimes. And I encourage people, I'm really glad you asked this. I encourage people who are listening and to share this with everybody too, is like when it feels like you want it to go somewhere, pursue it. Listen to that. That's the pursue your path, which is.
I also say something else. As you were sharing, there's some people that I had almost the opposite feeling to when I first met them, and yet some of those people have also gone on to become some of my best friends too, which is very fascinating. So, but when I look at the intensity of that spark, whether it was a pull or a push, it created something of like wanting to learn more about that person. Like even though I had that like I don't like this person moment, that also made me very interested in why. And so when I got to know that person and got over my first judgment of that person, became some of my best friends too. So don't go by what I just said, which is a good connection has to be that magnetic pull.
Right.
It could be a totally different feeling too.
Yes. We always feel something. And our job is to tune into that. What am I feeling right now? We both probably we have so many stories to nerd out on. I can think of a couple people specifically in my past who, in fact, one was a colleague, a coworker, and we were actually pitted against each other because our boss was really insecure because she knew that we were going to be a force to reckon with together. So we clashed at first. We argued. And then one day we realized, like, holy crap, this is actually, no, we're so much better. What happened back there? Well, let's not focus on that. Let's go forward. I remember another woman that I had met in another state I lived in too. We kind of were at loggerheads, maybe similar to you and your friend. You're like, I'm not sure about the vibe on this, but that vibe or whatever you want to call it is really what you need to listen to. And that other woman, we realized that we were both really strong personalities and we just needed to find the right language. So maybe like your friend, like, I'm not here to challenge you. I'm here to support you. So frankly, connectors need to speak directly and respectfully. Like, speak what's on your mind. One of the very best books I can recommend, well, there's so many, but Crucial Conversations, as well as Julian Treasure's How to Be Heard. Phenomenal books in learning how to listen and learning to really understand what people are saying with body language, verbal language, the nonverbal language. So yes, I love that you discovered that. And I encourage everybody, listen to yourself, give people, unless there's something just absolutely like, I feel uncomfortable, my guts are rolling kind of thing, like give them a chance because there's so many more ways, again, that we're connected. We just haven't found the common ground. We haven't found like, okay, how do we jump into this together? Let's see if we can figure this out in a different way. One of the best connecting tactics for people to use that I teach is ask a lot of questions. Ask a lot of questions. Ask open-ended, safe, pleasant questions to start. Don't go into the hot stuff first. Go into the hot stuff later because we absolutely need to talk about the hot stuff. But go into the safe zones first. So, for example, one thing you and I could talk about, one topic I love talking about is music. One topic I would love to talk with you about specifically, Bijal, is food. So, there's universal, truly global topics we can talk about that are safe, pleasant, that we all have something to contribute, because that's the key to conversation. If somebody doesn't feel like they know anything about music, what you do is like, well, what kind of music do you enjoy? Like, it doesn't matter what their education is. It's irrelevant. What matters is, what is the tie that binds? Oh, well, what do you like about that music? And what are some artists, or have you ever been to a concert? And then you're off and running.
Well, look, we're getting to that time of the show. So let's talk about what's sweet and sticky that you can give away. So, well, give away, but talk about. So let's talk about this first of all. So, hey, this is not a freebie, but I highly recommend it, because I started going through it. It is on gingerjohnson.com/shop, correct?
Correct.
And I'll put the link as well in the description. But I'm gonna recommend this book. I don't recommend a lot of books in terms of, I always say, hey, go find the summary of it. But I happen to be going through this. Yeah, I do. I just look. I want to. I'm an efficiency guy. I love productivity. but I am going to say, get this book, because if nothing else, it's so pretty. Okay.
Thank you. I wanted to
pages, isn't it? So nice. Oh my God.
So for the entrepreneurs in the room, which I'm guessing are most people, this book is also a point of differentiation. So it's a marketing tip, because there's a lot of marketing connection. It's hardcover. It does have the yellow pages. I wanted to stand out in the market, so use that. Yeah,
and you actually turned me on to your book publisher. And so let's do a little kind of reveal the curtains a little bit, right? So yes, you can get books produced real cheap out there, but let's face it, most of us are never going to become best-selling authors of our books. We are taught that books are marketing items. If that's how you're using your book, I'm going to highly recommend you get this book, if nothing else, as an example of what that kind of book should look like. Because if you really want to open up high-level doors to businesses, you got to show up different. You got to show up a little bit of a class above the rest, and that's what you've done. And talk about class above the rest, Ginger. You are a class above the rest. You connectivity queen, a connectivity diva. You are. It's been such a pleasure getting to know you. And now, with that said, is there anything free that you can give away to people? Do you have some sort of free guide or something that you on your site?
Yes. I'm happy to give away goodies that help other people grow, help you grow, help the audience grow. So one thing I do is a monthly juice. It's a live cast, and then I put it on my YouTube channel, and I bring great guests who offer different takes on human connection, depending on their area of expertise. That's definitely one. If they choose,
I can think of somebody.
Oh, I know a bunch of somebody.
just saying.
Yes, absolutely. Don't worry. That somebody will get a note. And another thing I offer is, for those people who choose to be in my email community, I'm incredibly grateful, and I save exclusive content for them. The newsletter is free, but I do give special content to my newsletter community only as a thank you for them being part of it. A couple of recent ones I talked about, are you investing your time or spending your time? There's a huge difference. And so that's the kind of information they get. So I'm happy to give those away.
Perfect. Well, look, it's been absolutely fun and an honor to have you on the show. but Ginger, it's that time of the show where we say buzz off. So join me in the buzz off hand wave, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.